It's Oldhammer art time. Okay, so first up today on the chopping block is this absolutely beautiful piece by David Gallagher, featuring some of the most famous greenskins in the galaxy, Orks. I'm a big fan of David's work, and as you're watching this video, I would probably assume you are too. Although fantastic, this piece of art has a massive wide open space at the top. Before you all start shouting in the comments, yes, we do know why. It was because the artist ran out of paint. No, I would assume it was for some text or something, as it was probably used as a book or game cover of sorts. Does anyone recognise which product it was from? Now, unless my brain has failed me and my memory is wrong, Orks had access to actual bolt guns up until mid or early 2nd edition Warhammer 40,000, and then I think they changed their name to Dagger guns or something, while always retaining that knock-off bolter look, like these ones. The main orc in the middle there, the one pointing his non-bolter at us, has an interesting looking hat on, a furry muff with a horn in it. I do enjoy seeing horns in furry muffs, but to me this looks like something you would see worn in Conan the Barbarian, a very good movie. The second one, however, was a bit rubbish, still fun to watch though. The background of this piece is very red, reddy orange. It looks to me like it could either be a sunset or perhaps even a big explosion or something, getting the sky ablaze. That colour looks fantastic against the green skin of the orcs. I guess it was artistic choice. The orc on the left hand side of the picture, with his hands up in the air like that, weapons above his head, looks a lot like the poses the APUs pull in the third Matrix movie. They had a strange gangly look to them too. A lot of people dislike the third Matrix film, but I actually think it was pretty good. My name's Marcel, and this is Snakeworks.
Is that actually plugged in?
Yes. Now, although I'm a big fan of Warhammer 40,000 art, all of it, I would have to say that late 1st edition and early 2nd edition art was where it peaked. I feel after that point in time it started becoming a little more generic, less interesting, less weird. Next up, we have my old manager that I used to work for. He was an absolute c***, although this guy looks a little cleaner. So what we actually have here is some kind of Chaos Champion or Renegade. Whatever he is, I'm pretty sure he's a fan of the Dark Gods. Sadly, we don't know who the artist is for this piece, but there is one tiny little star-shaped signature-looking clue there. If you know whose this is, then please let us all know. Like the previous picture before, with the barbarian orcs, again we have a very interesting looking hat being worn. It's like some sort of giant fly themed thing. I would assume this is some sort of Nurglified headwear, but you never really know when it comes to chaos. I would like to know, is this fly alive? Can the man fly with this hat? Doesn't that happen in Super Mario Bros? Now this gentleman is sporting some wonderful facial hair. He has a teeny tiny tuft of hair on the tip of his chin, unless it's some sort of fungus, which again is quite possible with these Nurgly types. Also, the hair reminds me of the hair on those troll toy things, and I hate those.
Oi, don't diss us.
Now, for some bizarre reason, which probably involves warp mutation, this guy has a face on his bib. I'm not sure why such a thing might exist, but if I were to hazard a guess, I would assume it's some sort of spilt food that over time has become its own little demon. Maybe. Like the Vindaloo beast from Red Dwarf. 10 internet cookies if you get that reference. This Chaos Consort, this Nurgle loser, has some shoulder pads with an interesting looking pattern on them. My gut tells me this is some sort of chainmail armour. reminiscent of Captain America's armour in the comic art, but I guess with it being chaos, again it could be anything, like frog spawn or frozen peas, or rust, probably.
Roll up, roll up, roll up. Get your tickets here, folks. It's time for another Rumble in the Warp. Get 'em while they're hot.
So yet again we return to the Warp to check out some of their finest demons. This time the piece is by one of my favourite Oldhammer artists, Rees. He's done some amazing work over the years. In the middle of the piece, in the distance, are two people having a showdown on a rock. This looks a lot like the artwork of the duel between Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus in the Heresy. Do you think that one was inspired by this piece, or is a duel on a rock just a generic trope? Whatever the case may be, I think it's great, in both examples. There are two sides to any argument, apart from if you're arguing with my wife, and this time it's no different. On the left hand side, I think we have the Nurgle warband. The right hand side I think are Slaneshi troops, or do they have a mix? The guy at the bottom right has a logo on his belly that I thought was Khorne, but the guy next to him is Slaanesh for sure. Maybe it's a tag team. On the left hand side of the piece is a fantastic looking chap. To me this looks like a Nurglified corrupted version of one of those Mechanicum cyborg geezers from the Heresy game. I forget what they're called. Not Thanatars, they're the big ones. Hold on, let me look it up. Okay, it's the Thalax. It also looks like he has a little minion man plugged into the top of his helmet, like Master Blaster from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, an underappreciated movie. Now I don't think Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome, or Beyond the Thunderdome as I used to refer to it as a child, is as bad as everyone likes to make out. But I suppose it's not as good as the others. And also he doesn't have his interceptor in it, which might be one of the main reasons people don't like it. People do love that car. A Ford Falcon XB, I believe it was. Or was it a GT XB? It's been a while since I looked up that car and considered making my own replica, then realised it would cost the best part of £100,000. So fuck that. Anyway, in Mad Max 3 he does have this cool truck thing which is completely scratch built from what I can gather. It's also pulled by some camels. Everyone loves to be pulled by camels. The trouble is camels always get grumpy, don't they? Because they've always got the hump. I'll get my coat. Now if you fancy discussing Mad Max or anything else hobby related, then please feel free to join us on our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. There's a link in the description below for you, and one up here somewhere. We look forward to chatting to you there. I just want to set the record straight. This is a piece of Warhammer art and not a advert for some bad dragon products. Not that I know what those things are anyway. I just guessed, honest. So what we have here is a version of the original Nurgle logo by an artist I cannot identify. There is a little logo down the bottom right serving as a clue if anyone knows whose that is. My gut tells me this was Ian Miller, but I'm not 100% sure. Now if you're wondering why this Nurgle logo looks like a cock, it's because this is the old original style version. It was later changed from this more phallic looking design into the more family friendly 3-ball design pretty soon after. I think the new version is supposed to represent a fly, isn't it? Or is it just drawn like a fly a lot? I'm intrigued as to which version of the logo you guys prefer. I mean, I do like this cock version, but I feel it's more suitable for Slaanesh really. You might notice some of the first Nurgle miniatures had this logo on them somewhere. There can't have been many as the logo was soon phased out, so I can imagine they're quite rare. Consider yourself lucky if you have one. Let us all know if you do in the comments below. Now, although this cocktacular corruption is a logo, it also looks like it's rendered as an actual object. In universe, it could actually be some sort of statue, or perhaps even an ornament. I'm sure some of my friends have these as ornaments on their bookshelves. Now for a Nurgle piece, I feel the balls look very smooth. Well, two of them do. The other one looks quite corrupt indeed. It looks like it has something inside it, like a decaying chicken or something. Whatever it is, it's very well done and looks great.
Take that, you filthy heretic.
I do hope this was a heretic for this chaplain's sake. This fantastic picture appears to depict a chaplain laying the beatdown on a filthy heretic of chaos, a renegade as they were known at the time, and this piece is by Dave Gallagher, one of the best Warhammer 40,000 artists of all time. I'm a big fan of his work. Now, due to the fact you have eyes, you can probably see the chaplain has a big skull on his shoulder pad, and his helmet also has a skull theme too. This was a common theme for all chaplains in the Rogue Trader era. Were chaplains the start of the Warhammer 40,000 skull craze? Did they make it fashionable in the Imperium? Who knew chaplains would be so avant-garde? Now have a look at the chaplain's chest area there. See those pipes hanging over his chest? Well, they're a common feature of Mark VI armour. However, I always assumed them to be attached to the chest and not able to come away like that. Have they always been able to do this, or is this just artistic license in action? Now yet again we have another one of those weird shaped or proportioned Crozius Arcanums. Again it has the big hefty handle and small tip, like a rolling pin with a toy bird on the end. That gives me an idea. I reckon I could make one of those. They sell the toy eagles in Smiths, although I might need two to make the double head. The Chaos Marine, or Chaos Renegade as they were known then, appears to be based on that old Space Marine design that appeared on the cover of White Dwarf issue 99. He had an organic looking bolter and a tentacle arm. I think they made a limited edition miniature of it too, although I can't remember the code off the top of my head. It would have been LE something or other.
I absolutely love the look of the original Chaos Space Marines, or Renegades as they were known back then. I think they have a fantastic aesthetic and a lot of character for miniatures, especially at that time. I think they look really good. Seriously, go and have a look at them. I would love it if Chaos Marines made a return to that sort of organic, tainted style, but I don't think they ever will because the Tyranids stole it. Tyranids do look good though. And speaking of good, if you're enjoying this video, then please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Ed. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, then please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere. Or you could even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below.
You go get 'em, lads. I'll stay here and keep an eye on the trench.
Here we can see one of the greatest factions of all of Warhammer 40,000 in action, the Imperial Guard. Sadly, I'm unaware of who the artist is for this piece, so if you know, then please let us all know in the comments below. This Commissar and Imperial Guardsman, or Imperial Army Trooper as they were known at the time, have typical attire on for the period. The Commissars haven't changed much over the years, but the Guardsmen have changed a fair bit. I actually like the original Guardsman design. I think I've said it before, but to me it looks like a cross between the Colonial Marines from Aliens and the police from RoboCop. I think it's the flak jacket body armour things. Although I said the Guardsmen are wearing their usual garb, one of them looks a little different. The guy in the middle with the chainsword. To me it looks like he's acquired a Space Marine helmet somehow. Do you think he took it from the battlefield? I wonder if it weighs a ton. It would be like Lord Helmet or whatever his name was from Spaceballs. Rick Moranis' character. Anyone remember his name? Although, looking at the others, it would appear that maybe a Guardsman's helmet is just the same as a Marine's helmet without the faceplate. Is that possible? For a minute there, due to the placement of the people in the picture, I thought the Commissar was firing the plasma cannon like a pistol. He would have to have hella strong wrists to pull that off. Also, The plasma cannon is comically huge, and I think that's awesome. In the background, there's a tank or vehicle of some description. I'm actually having trouble working out if that's a Land Raider or a Rhino. It looks like both to me for some reason. It's hard to tell with the lack of detail. What do you guys think it is?
Some wonderful artwork there. If you want to see some more art related videos, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.